Hello, my name is Art Serratelli, and together with Mara Mijal, the two of us run the immigration law practice here at Serratelli Mijal PLLC. If you've got any immigration question, send us an email, send us a text. An email is your best bet. We'd like to have all inquiries from text, voicemail, social media. We got Instagram, we've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube, we've got LinkedIn. So if you've got a question, send us a message anywhere you want, but we'll probably ask you to send it so it goes to an email. And then we've got 4 people all day, every day, 5 days a week, working in email to reply to you as soon as we can within 2 business days. We try within 2 business days. So if you've got a question, we'll have an answer. The subject of today's video is the H-1B. They call it a specialty occupation, and you know what? It's getting to be a little more special. In the olden days, the college degree you had needed to be logically related to the job you were offered. The job requirement should ideally, back then and now, the job requirement should require the college education you have. So, if you're a pharmacist, please have a college degree in pharmacy. If you're an accountant, please study accounting. Don't study the fine arts, painting or ballet, and then go get a job in an accounting firm. Don't do that. Why? Because a fundamental requirement of the H-1B is that the education, the 4-year education or higher that you have after high school is required by your job. All right, that's the rule. It has not changed since they wrote the law years and years ago. So what's so different now? Well, we've got a new president, President Mentally Stable Genius, and he is interpreting the same law written with the same words today as it was back 20 years ago when I started. When Bill Clinton was the president, he interpreted the words for the H-1B requirement pretty liberally. So, as an example, from back in the good old days with Bill Clinton, pretend you got a job managing the entire process of accounts receivable, collecting money from people who owed the company money where you work, or perhaps accounts receivable, and you were in charge of accounts payable, paying all the bills that were incurred on behalf of the company where you work. That's a college level job. It's a lot of responsibility. In the olden days, studying accounting would have been perfect, but they would let it slide if you studied business management, where you took some accounting and maybe you focused on finance. Finance, in other words, was close enough to accounting, and you'd get an H-1B. This was back in the good old days when there were 195,000 H-1Bs thanks to Bill Clinton. That was a temporary blip negotiated by Bill Clinton, and the standards were a little more loose because we favored the intelligent international worker. They weren't depressing wage rates. They weren't stealing jobs from Americans. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. So what's different now? Well, the administration of the mentally stable genius is reading the law much more strictly. And two recent court cases have supported the USCIS interpretation of a more strict construction of the rules as they've always been written. So the Bill Clinton days are over. What does that mean? For example, the two court cases, we'll look at both of them. I'll focus on one more than the other. But the first one, and I'm reading right from a Facebook post. I posted it yesterday. The first case is a case where the court announces the obvious, and they say, if you have a bachelor's degree and you want a job as an H-1B, and the H-1B is called the specialty occupation, well, you know what? You better have a degree in the specialty occupation and not just any old degree. All right? So I'll take two crazy examples and show you what I mean. And you know what? Who knows what this court decision ultimately will mean? It means basically whatever the USCIS officer who gets assigned your case, it means whatever he thinks or whatever she thinks it means. So these are all guidelines. It's loose. It's loose, but it's getting tighter. All right, you need a degree in the specialty occupation, not just any old degree. All right, so you want to be a chemist, and you studied pharmacy. In the good old days, that would have been fine. There's a logical connection between chemistry and pharmacy because pharmaceutical drugs are something that affect the biochemistry of the body. However, in this day and age, if you want to be a chemist, your diploma better say chemistry. And if it doesn't, you better have a darn good reason why. Now, that darn good reason why is the subject of the second case. The second recent case basically said, hey, if you want a job and you're calling yourself a specialty occupation, you know what? Your education and training, the entry route into that career path better be specialized, and it better be related to the career path. Okay? So what does that mean? Crazy example number two. And I'm going to use the example that was the subject of the court case. Here we go. In the case in dispute at the court level, the applicant for the H-1B wanted to be a quality assurance analyst. A quality assurance analyst. The following. There are a wide range of specialties that could qualify someone for the quality assurance analyst position. Sure, so like for example, To do this quality assurance job, you could study math, you could study engineering, you could study information technology, you could study computer science, or any equivalent field. Now, write that exact same sentence. Why? Because that would mean someone who studied math or computer science or information systems technology or electrical engineering or software engineering is qualified to do a QA analyst job in the technology field that the employer was engaged in. But we know enough. Psst, that's Mara. Mara knows enough. Mara. When I say we, I mean Mara. So we know enough to use a sentence like that in the olden days and maybe watch what the heck we're saying in this current era of President Mentally Stable Genius. Why? We've been getting RFEs hinting that language saying this degree or that degree or this degree or that degree is all good for qualifying to do this job. We've been getting RFEs that would hint without flat out saying it, but they were pretty darn clear. If you read between the lines, they were telling us, pick one. And by the way, if you pick math and your person has a computer science degree, and the job is quality assurance in computer science, and you pick math, you lose. That's what the RFEs were telling us. And now the court told us. If you study math in the narrow interpretation of immigration in this day and age, that's not good enough, because computers are computers. They should require a computer engineering or a computer information science degree or something to do with computers, and the word math seems to indicate an abstract formula with crazy squiggly lines all over a board and division signs, the symbol for pi, and the sigma, the sum, all these mathematical principles that the narrow-minded people at immigration cannot seem to apply beyond the blackboard in math class. So, is that a reflection of the truth out in the world, that math does not prepare you for computers? Of course it's not. No. But is this method of thinking a way for the mentally stable genius and his USCIS thugs to screw you over and throw your case out when you clearly qualify, and you would have qualified under Clinton and under George Bush and even under Obama? You would have qualified, but now you don't. This is a lot of garbage. Garbage with a capital G. And coincidentally, we got an email just the other day, probably in reaction to these two released cases this week. We got an email from a student. Oh, let me just say it was an Italian student, just say. And this Italian student was working for an accounting firm, an Italian accounting firm in America. All right? Italian student, Italian accounting firm in America, right off the bat, in my head, it screams out E2, E2. This is an E2 visa. What does the genius lawyer working with that poor kid, what does he want to do? An H-1B. What? Like what? Why? Because that's always what the lawyer always did, and it's what the lawyer only knows. And who cares? The H-1B works and it gets selected and it wins, or the H-1B loses the lottery. Who cares? The lawyer still gets paid. The system is no good. So I would have done an E2 if the facts played out to satisfy the requirements of E2. But right away, genius lawyer jumps right in and wants to do an H. So the kid writes to me and says, hey, Art, are you ready? I have a bachelor's degree in journalism. And I have a post-baccalaureate certificate in accounting. And the critical thinking skills I gained in journalism, plus the hard skills in accounting I got from my post-baccalaureate program, it's not a master's degree, it's post-bac, I can do the job. And I'm doing it on OPT, and I'm doing a darn good job. Should I get an H? Today? Who knows? According to these cases, I don't think so. I'll have to ask Mara because she's closer to the action these days than I am. Look at me. I'm getting old. Look, you see this? I can hear USCIS loud and clear saying, oh, we're sorry, you studied journalism? That's your bachelor's degree? Good luck. That's not a bachelor's degree in the specialty occupation of accounting. Journalism's not accounting. See ya. And there you have it. Is the H-1B getting more, quote, specialized? Yes. Is this video expanding upon the other video in this playlist where I'm sitting in front of a window in Vegas with the Eiffel Tower behind me? Yes. Is the current administration looking for ways to deny H-1Bs? Yes. Do I like the H-1B with the lottery? No. Do I recommend it? Sure, if your employer is willing to pay for it and put you in line. But you better have a plan B or a plan C or even a plan D. So, there you have it. If you want to scream, call me. We'll get on Skype and we'll have a primal scream together at the top of our lungs, and we might feel better. We might. Or you might feel better if you had a plan B or a plan C or a plan D instead of relying only on the H-1B. Okay? If you have any questions, send us an email, send us a text, and we'll get the ball rolling from there.